LiberalViewer presents.
Alan Ash. I have a YouTube channel under the name LiberalViewer. I make a lot of fair use videos using news clips. I'm also a lawyer. I used to be a public defender, although now I generally don't practice, although I do volunteer work for the ACLU. I'm wearing a t-shirt from the Dot Rights campaign that the ACLU started, and I left a bunch of information out in the back if you're interested in finding more about fighting for your rights online. And I'm looking forward to a good discussion.
All right. So I am Joe Felice. I am a YouTuber, but I also used to work for EMI Music Publishing at a time when the relationship with YouTube was just being forged, and I was personally involved in taking down videos and monetizing videos and claiming videos. So I think since we have YouTube and somebody representing the user community, I feel like my role in this can be to do my best to represent the point of view of the big copyright holders, give you a sense of what it's like from that side. Although I'm not here officially speaking for EMI. So I'm also not a lawyer. I'm a tech guy. You know, they hired me to explain the internet to the lawyers. So if maybe today I can explain the lawyers to the internet, that could be of use.
Right, so I'm Glenn Brown. I work at YouTube, working on music partnerships, so I can talk a little bit about the ins and outs of that from the other side of Joe, or sometimes on the same side. And I used to be a copyright lawyer at YouTube, what they call product counsel. So I can talk a little bit about, along with Victoria, we'll tell you a couple things about content ID and our copyright policies and all that. I can help address some of those things.
And I'm Victoria Grand, and I work on policy at YouTube and on communications.
Hi.
Hi.
Did you have something you wanted to show?
We did, but I think we're waiting for this guy to warm up, so.
Oh, okay.
It's going to turn off when it comes down.
Yeah.
It turns on?
Usually if this is already on and your laptop's on, you're gonna have to repower up here so it'll recognize it. So
Oh,
you'll have to
repower
cut
the
that
laptop.
off
You
your
should
laptop.
refresh it.
Do you have a display switch button on your laptop?
Like F7.
I mean, if it was a Mac, you probably wouldn't have to do that.
I know.
Yeah.
What?
I think we could probably skip it.
Yeah, so you want to just jump right in?
I think we could probably skip it.
Or we can come back to it later or something. So, how do you guys want to start? Well, this is a big topic, obviously. We might as well, get a conversation going with everybody in the audience. I don't know if there's any kind of burning questions you have that you want to start with, or unsolved mysteries that you want to ask about. Sure.
How do you feel about VidCon at the moment?
How do we feel about them? We feel the same we always felt about VidCon. We disagree with their positions. But they have their own point of view on the thing, and they're entitled to it. So.
But luckily it's wrong.
Anything else? Sorry. What's that?
I said luckily their point of view has been proven wrong.
Yes, unless they appeal. Yeah, I mean, I think we see it as not only a victory for YouTube, but for the internet as well, because I think one of the things that the case said was that the DMCA takedown regime was sufficient to basically avoid liability. And I think that's super critical because YouTube has kind of, over the years, gone above and beyond that and created a content ID system. But a lot of startups aren't going to be in the position to be able to do that and aren't going to have the resources to be able to create more robust technological solutions. And so it's really a good day for the internet, I would say, when it was a good day for the internet when the judge ruled that way.
Oh, sorry. I don't know if you're right now. So I think I'll speak for myself, but I think a lot of people, I'll speak for everyone, I guess, too. I think a lot of us may be just curious about, like the situation where if there is some violation of videos taken down, but more than that, the repercussions if a video ends up becoming extremely popular before that happens, or if it isn't taken down because, or if there's an issue with the parties involved in making that video, Can you give us a little bit of advice on what to look out for if you're collaborating on making some videos, what to avoid, what not to avoid?
So in terms of copyright?
Yeah.
So it depends on who you're collaborating with. If you're collaborating with someone in the actual making of the video, then basically just working together to make sure everything you include in it is cleared, or that you think, if you're going to take a kind of aggressive fair use stance, that you think you've done your homework on what that is. It's a really hard question a lot of times.
Well, I mean, just to make it personal. Oh, I didn't mean
No. So there's a bunch of different things to think about. I mean, so have you cleared all your musical rights? Have you gotten maybe royalty-free music? Have you actually gotten, permission from whoever made the music? If you're using clips, have you gotten permission for those? I mean, the safest course is to make it all yourself or get permission for it all and have a paper trail. That's the safest course. If you don't ever want to have a problem down the line, if you don't want to get in trouble for any kind of copyright questions. So, what were you thinking?
Like in my personal situation, like I do instructional videos. I don't really make money off it. I don't really care to make money off it. I'm just doing it because I want to do it. And I'm, like, I don't mind if, for example, if I'm, like the example I gave before you guys came in, where if I'm doing an instruction video on how to use some particular software, like some Microsoft software, and like when I first started several years ago, I actually went out and tried to spend time in getting permission. I didn't know what the laws were and all that stuff, so I actually would, get in touch with someone at Microsoft or whoever I was doing the software with, and I would spend a lot of time on it. Now I just don't want to spend that time. I'd just rather just do it. And if it gets taken down, fine, take it down, but I don't want to be sued over something like that later. So like I had a question overall. In terms of doing instructional videos, do I have to seek permission on doing anything along those lines? Like if I shoot video of either a live video or if I'm doing screen captures, do I have to get permission for that?
Well, I mean, so it totally depends on what you're talking about. And part of the problem with addressing this stuff really generally is that we could, and courts and lawyers do this through their entire careers, we could take like 50 different versions of the hypothetical you just said and come up with scenarios where you wouldn't need permission and others where you would. So our policy is to encourage people either to make everything themselves or to clear everything they might have any questions about. And so we encourage you basically just we don't encourage you to include other people's stuff that includes other people's rights, basically because it's so difficult to make those kinds of assessments. So it's so case by case that fair use is a really difficult thing to know whether or not you need permission on.
But for example, like the interface of a software program or the design of a car, is that, like if I take video of a car or if I'm taking screen captures of the interface of software, do they own that? I mean, do they own what's on my screen?
There's arguably again, it's all going to be arguably, there's arguably a copyright in the layout of a screen, but there have been cases on that too. Lotus v. Borland way back when, on how a particular piece of software is laid out, like the menus and the names and all of the pull down menus and all that kind of stuff. So it totally depends. Take a picture of a car, it's hard to imagine what intellectual property right they would have if you're just filming a car. It'd be hard to film anything if objects themselves were.
To make it maybe a little more complicated, I know I'm taking a lot of time on this, but like if I was to make an instruction video on, for example, shooting a basketball, and I took a little clip out of a broadcast of a professional player, would I get in trouble with that? I mean, again,
no, there's no way to give you a concrete answer, to be honest.
Yeah.
So,
and even the get in trouble part, it really depends on what the copyright owner decides to do with that content if they find it in the first place, right? Are they going to decide to file a DMCA complaint against it, which means you could potentially get a strike against your account? If the content ID system finds it instead, then it could be that the copyright owner decides, hey, this is actually a piece of my content, but I just want to leave it up and make money off of it. So it could be, and that means you get no strike, and that the content is allowed to remain on the site.
Well, what if it ends up, what if it ends up making or getting a ton of views? I haven't got to anything like that yet, but let's say it ends up becoming some kind of a partnership with YouTube, we do well, and then down the line, something happens where there's a dispute. What happens there? Do you have to?
It's not treated any differently if it happens on the first second that it's uploaded, or if it happens,
But I'm saying in terms of the revenue that was already made, are you liable to now give part of that back, or do you see what I'm saying? Like, do you have to worry about?
Well, so if you have a revenue-bearing account on YouTube, if you are in the program where you're making money on videos, then you're representing and warranting to YouTube that you have all the rights to put in the videos that you're putting out and to make money from them, right? And you're indemnifying YouTube for any claims that a third party might make against that particular video, which basically just the kind of legal jargon way of saying that you're promising to basically stand in YouTube's shoes in case YouTube gets blamed for something that you were in control of.